So I've had an INPRNT shop for a little over a year now, and I know some people who have been wondering whether or not it's worth it, so I'm making a video about it. First, I'll go over the pros and cons of using a print-on-demand service versus printing and selling from your own home, and then I'll cover my own personal experience with INPRNT. So, should you use a print-on-demand service, or should you sell prints yourself? Ultimately, that depends on your own needs. The first thing to consider is if you'd rather work harder to make more money per print, or if you're okay with making less per print in exchange for less work. If you want to make a decent amount of money per print and you think you can handle the workload that comes with it, then INPRNT probably isn't for you. But you have to keep in mind that when you sell prints all by yourself, you have to order your prints somewhere or print them yourself, which I haven't done it myself, but I hear that printing your own products can be a huge headache. I've heard horror stories from multiple artists of their printer messing up the prints, wasting their expensive paper and ink, and you also have to handle all the customer service yourself. If a product is lost or damaged, then you'll have to be the one to make it right with the customer. If you use a print-on-demand service, then they're the ones who take on that responsibility and you don't have to worry about it at all. And then there's shipping. You'll have to package and ship things yourself, and when you're new to shipping, that can be such a struggle to figure out. And on top of that, you're going to want to get a P.O. box so that those who buy from you don't know your exact home address. That's not a very good thing for people to know. But of course there are also benefits to selling prints yourself. When you sell your own prints, you can personalize it in any way you please. You can include thank you notes or little extra freebies. I love buying from artists in any form, but I will say that artist package prints are way more fun to receive because artists usually include thank you notes, or they pack their stuff in cute envelopes and use cute washi tape. It's just those little things that make me so happy, you know? There's also the comfort of knowing that what you're shipping is a quality product because you yourself are packaging it, so you can check and make sure. I have bought from INPRNT myself, and I haven't noticed any issues with the prints. But still, there's this part of me that's always a little bit nervous about what if one print that someone buys from me turns out terrible and I don't even know it because I'm not the one handling the prints, you know? I'm recording this at a later point in time because I just remembered that this was an issue. Sometimes INPRNT prints will come out a little bit darker than what you expected. I don't know if that's exclusively an INPRNT problem or if that's a universal print thing, but I strongly recommend that you bring the brightness of your artwork up a little bit before you list it on INPRNT. I honestly cannot tell you by how much you should increase the brightness because I still haven't figured that out myself. It's not a terrible difference. The prints are typically only slightly darker than the digital files, but that's still one benefit printing at home has over printing services. You can run test prints to ensure that what you're selling is as close to the original artwork as possible. And I think one of the greater benefits of selling your own prints is that you have more control over the price. INPRNT's prints are amazing quality and they're archival too, but that also means that they're more expensive, and there's a minimum price limit that you can set. Also, INPRNT's shipping is notoriously expensive. Right now where I live, INPRNT's shipping is over $8 US, and I'm willing to bet that those shipping costs deter a lot of customers. I personally always jump on their free shipping sales because it usually saves me more money than their 40% off sales. So if you want your prints to be more affordable to customers, then you could get them printed yourself with cheaper inks and paper, allowing yourself to sell them at a lower price. And then probably the greatest benefit is that you get all of the profits. With INPRNT, you only get 50% of the sales maximum. That can go lower depending on what products people buy, and whether or not you offer any sales on your products. I think ultimately, whether or not you should use INPRNT depends on how many prints you expect to sell, and whether or not you want to deal with shipping yourself. I imagine if you're a really big artist, to the point where lots of people want prints from you, then it's probably way more worth it to use INPRNT or something similar rather than making prints yourself. Because there's a point where that sort of workload becomes too much for one person to handle, and the quantity you might sell from a print-on-demand service could make the smaller profits per print worth it. And if you're thinking of selling prints but aren't sure if you want to go through all the shipping and customer service hassle, I definitely recommend giving INPRNT a shot. If you find out it's not for you, you can always close your imprint shop and then set up your own personal shop later, but it's a lot harder to do the inverse, because then you have all this extra product and packaging and all that jazz left over. There's really no risk involved if you decide imprint isn't for you. You're not losing money since you haven't spent any in the first place, but just keep in mind if you do decide to use imprint that you might not get a whole lot of sales, because the minimum listing price combined with the shipping cost does make these prints a little bit pricey. If you don't have a huge following and you're looking to make lots of money, I think you should probably try other methods of selling your art. If you're okay with not really making that much, then go for it. I myself have not made a whole lot off of imprint, but I also rarely advertise my print shop, so that could have something to do with it. Now, before I opened an imprint shop, I wasn't really sure what to expect, so I'm going to give you a little behind-the-scenes look into it. I'll start with the application process. It's pretty straightforward. Just sign up, then head over to the Open a Print Shop tab and upload some of your artwork. Other imprint users can then vote for your shop, and if you get enough votes, then you're in. There's also a way to skip the voting stage if you receive an invite from an artist who already has a shop. It's weird though, because they removed this feature a while back and I couldn't send an invite to a fellow artist when I wanted to, but then they brought it back later, so I don't know if this feature will still be around in the future, but anyway, once you have a print shop, you can upload artworks. Just be sure to follow the directions on the side of the screen. Make sure your file is in an RGB color profile, which you probably don't even have to worry about in the first place because most digital art and photo editing programs default to RGB anyway. It also wants you to upload your artwork as a JPEG or a TIFF. I personally use JPEG because TIFFs are usually very large in file size, and Imprint has a 100 megabyte file size limit, so with JPEGs you can upload something with larger dimensions without hitting that limit, which means that you can sell prints that are larger in dimension. Also, and this is something that Imprint does not list in their requirements but is very much a requirement, your file cannot be larger than 300 dpi. So make sure, either in your art program or in your editing program, that you change that. Because man, it is really annoying to have to go back in and change it when you thought that your file was print ready. I really wish that Imprint would list that along with their other file requirements, because the first few times that I tried listing prints, I kept forgetting that that was a thing and I'd have to go back in and change it. Anyway, once your file meets the requirements, you can set your prices and choose what type of products you want to offer. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I really wish they offered stickers. Technically they do, but they only offer glossy 4x4-inch square stickers. I really wish that you could list stickers in different shapes, sizes, and finishes. I fully understand why they don't, but I just think it would be really nice if they did. I've been on the hunt for a solid print-on-demand service that offers stickers for some time now. I know you're definitely wondering how much you make per sale, so here we go. You get half the profit for fine art prints bigger than 4 inches, but with everything else, including the mini 4-inch art prints, you get 30% of the profit. However, sales can change this. Every now and then, Imprint will offer site-wide sales. During these sales, there's a baseline discount that applies to all products. This discount comes from Imprint themselves, which means that you will not lose any of that profit from them. But if you want to join in on the site-wide sales, you can offer an additional discount. This can encourage customers to buy your products, but you'll also be making less. Now, this part I want to make very clear because I feel like they could have done a better job explaining this. Your profit during the sales is the percentage of what your profit would have been, minus the percentage of the discount you offer to customers. There's a section on the Imprint site that shows this little chart of how much you'd make. This only applies to the art prints that are 8 by 8 inches or larger. Everything else, you have to subtract 20% from the earnings section of this chart to see how much you'd actually make. So if you offer a 25% discount and someone buys something that you'd normally make 30% on, you're only going to see 5% of the profit on that item. Maybe I'm just dumb, but when I was first starting out, this chart had me thinking that I'd still make 25% profit, or $2.50 on my 4-inch art prints, when in reality I'd only make 50 cents. Which brings me to one criticism I have for Imprint. I really wish there was a way to offer different discounts on different products. I'm definitely willing to offer 25% off on my more profitable prints, but I'm a little more iffy about offering that much on my smaller prints, just because the profit I see is so small. I still generally offer 25% anyway, because I prefer for my customers to save more money rather than me making more money, but if I had the option to, I would reserve bigger discounts for my bigger art prints. Aside from offering discounts during site-wide sales, you can also generate promo codes, but customers cannot use them during sales. It won't let you stack promo codes with additional discounts. Also, you cannot use your own promo codes on your own art. I have tried this, it doesn't work. But you'll still get a discount on your own work. One thing that's nice about INPRNT is that your own products are a little bit cheaper for yourself. You automatically get an artist discount on your own products, and site-wide sales stack with that discount, so that's pretty nice. I also really like how INPRNT lets you create private listings. This is nice if you want a print of your own work, but you don't want it available to the public. And when a listing is set to private, it'll generate a private URL for you. That way you can still share a link with people, and only those who have access to that link can view or buy that print. And I know some people might be questioning when that would ever be useful, but I have literally used it before. One time I was really proud of how a drawing of an OC came out, but I'm kind of shy about my OCs being public knowledge, so I gave the link to a smaller group of people who know about this OC so that they could buy a print if they so desired, and hey, folks actually wanted a print of her, so it came in handy. Now I think the last thing I want to cover is something I can't actually cover, and that's withdrawing funds. I haven't withdrawn any funds from INPRNT yet, so I honestly cannot tell you if that process is easy or not. However, it is worth noting that if you want to withdraw when your balance is less than $100, you're going to have to reach out to INPRNT's support team to get that money. So it's definitely not straightforward if you're looking to withdraw before you hit that threshold, but as for beyond that point, I honestly cannot tell you if it's easy or not. Anyway, I think I covered everything that's worth covering. If you're still curious about something, INPRNT has a help center full of articles that could potentially answer your questions. Also, I should have mentioned at the beginning, but I am not sponsored by INPRNT in any way. This is all just me trying to make the site as easy to understand for potential newcomers as possible. But anyway, I hope this video informed you in some sort of way. See you later.